Hey everyone, welcome back to the CullRoom. I'm Ayush, founder of FilterPixel, and we have built this CullRoom sessions for you. And we have a special guest today. We built this series to take photographers like you behind the closed doors of the industry, to see and show you the real workflows and how these pros work. Joining us today in this second episode will be Edris Toussaint. Edris is someone with a slightly different story than most guests you will see in this room. He spent over a decade in Canadian TV industry, producing content for brands like NHL, NBA, and UFC, and then created his own YouTube channel, which is Beyond the Game, a YouTube channel that teaches 95,000 creators today how to break into sports photography and videography. So he knows the sports and he knows the camera. He knows the business media. What he's doing now is something I find genuinely fascinating. He's pivoting from his videographic career into sports photography and pretty publicly. And he agreed today that he's gonna share that journey today with us. While it's still raw, I want to welcome him. Rather just talking about it, I want to welcome him and I want him to share his journey with you all. Hi,
Hey,
Edris. Welcome to the room. How are you holding up today?
good, good. Thanks. That was a great intro. Thanks for that. That's building me up.
Yeah, 100%. There are a lot of people who are going to take inspiration from your journey today. But I want to start from where you started, like over in Canadian TV, producing for the NHL, the NBA, the UFC. For someone watching who does not know, who doesn't know anything in this world, how do they get into it? And
Uh,
what does producing live stories actually look like? What's a typical normal day?
yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say like my journey is probably a bit different than for someone starting today because I'm a bit old. Like I'm in my 40s. So when I started in the early 2000s, basically, you know, YouTube. I started in sports. Like my first sports videography job was with the Montreal Canadiens, like an NHL team, and it was in 2006, so there was no, like, YouTube was just starting, Facebook as well was pretty new, there was no Instagram, definitely no TikTok. So basically the content was specifically for the jumbotron at sporting events. And so that was, so usually you would start, I started in television, like just generic television, like working on TV shows as a video editor, and then just got an opportunity to work with the Montreal Canadiens. And for me, I automatically fell in love with it for the simple fact that I'm passionate about sports to begin with. So working in generic TV, like I was enjoying my job, but the TV shows that I was working on, the topics weren't necessarily something that I would personally watch. Where when I'm filming and working in sports, I love sports. Montreal Canadiens are the team that's the team that I've been following since I was a kid. So it was easy. It was fun, and it was also easy because I know that if I like the video, I'm someone who would be interested in this. So if I like it, if I know that my friends would like it, then obviously it's a good video. So it was really fun to get into that. So, but it was mainly for at first for the jumbotron, the big screens, and then gradually like the internet kind of got bigger, and then started doing a lot more for social media and things like that. Which brings me to today, where now most of what I do is for social media. So to answer your question, like a typical day, for example, last night I was working at a game for the PWHL, which is the Professional Women's Hockey League here in Canada and the US. And usually, like last night, the game was at 7 p.m. I arrived at 3, I think 3:30, something
Right.
like that. So at first it's just a meeting, making sure everybody's there and talking about what's going on that night. It's the finals. So it's a bit bigger than usual. So like going through everything that's going to be a little bit different than usual. If there's things that we need to pay attention to in particular. And then at some point, I'll film some color around the arena, and then the players arrive. So definitely filming the players' arrivals. There's probably a quick video to produce for Instagram out of that, just like quick, just shots of players arriving, maybe in slow motion, things like that. And then usually go outdoors, film the crowd getting in, and filming them talking to the camera, saying "Go, go team," all that sort of stuff. And then indoors, there's the warm up. You cover that. Then there's the opening ceremonies. We cover that. And then there's the game itself, and then there's the press conference, and then I'm done. So,
Oh
and
my
through
God.
that, there might be some live edits, but sometimes there's a live editor as well, kind of like with photography, where at professional sporting events, sometimes you just send your photos and someone edits them for you, so just so that it's quick and can easily go to Instagram like as fast as possible. But yeah, it's a long day, especially if the game goes to overtime. But roughly, that's about what it looks like.
Well, this is very different workflow altogether. And I would say that, I've been interviewing photographers throughout 5 years, but this one where you are so busy and the
Mm.
game, you are into the game, like you can't miss a moment. Everything is happening here and there, and then you have to run and catch. And this is already very fascinating. Now, my question would be most people who have built this uh, throughout their career, like 95,000 YouTube subscribers, like a videographer, and they would just keep doing that, right? Like you are here and learning a new craft, which is sports photography, and you are announcing it publicly. You are doing it publicly. What made you decide to pivot, and what is the reason why you decided to go to photography now?
Well, there's a few reasons. Like one of them is the fact that I like variety, and with my channel, I like touching at different sports, for example, and talking about cameras, but also editing, all these different things. So with that in mind, I like the idea of bringing photography to the table because it allows me to go in different directions and talk about different things that I don't typically talk about.
Hmm.
So that was one. There's also that there's a big it's the similar there's a lot of people who come to my channel hoping to get some photography advice or asking me photography questions, and I usually never really have an answer for them. So I thought like maybe I should try to get into that more so that I can, be of service to those people too, and basically create like a bigger audience, and have a place for both sports videographers and photographers. But I think mostly I liked the idea of, because again, I like variety, so I like the idea of doing videos differently. And with videography, I come from a place of authority where I've been doing this for a long time, and I know what I'm doing. So it's kind of hard for someone who's beginning, who's just starting, which is a lot of my audience. It's hard to relate and just assume that if I'm doing something, then they can do it too. Where with photography, I am starting from scratch. Like obviously, I have some camera skills, but I've literally, like, I'm not lying when I say this. I've never taken a photo at a professional event or any type of event before, outside of just using my phone to snap photos on vacations and things like that. And even that, my girlfriend would tell you that I don't do it. I don't really do it that much, if any. So yeah, so it was a new thing that I was starting from scratch, and that I thought would be a cool thing to take people on that journey with me, and they could see the way I go about it, and the way I evolve, and the way I learned, and all the mistakes, and all the good stuff that I'm doing, and all the things that I'm learning along the way. So that way they could relate to that journey a lot more. And it would make the videos, I think, more interesting. It becomes kind of a more of a day in the life, or a vlog type of thing, where it's just, come with me, I'm trying this thing, and we'll see what happens. And I kind of liked that concept, and I thought that sports photography was kind of the best the best of both worlds. It was the best way for me to do this because I already, it's easy for me to get into sporting events. I kind of know what to expect, what the finished product should look like. So I'll try to get in there and try to make it happen one step at a time. And it still relates to what I'm already doing. So it's not like I'm going towards like a completely different audience, and then people are going to be a bit lost on my channel if I start posting about video sports photography. So yeah, I thought it was a good mix, which
Good
was
mix.
bringing me value and bringing the audience value. So
Let me
so
tell
far so
you,
good.
let me tell you, this is brilliant. Why? Because I feel like, the best learning happens when you teach someone something. I have done a lot of things in my career where I didn't know about it at all, and then I
Mhm.
randomly started, but I started it like a journey, and I shared that journey with people along with while learning it. And I think you learn a lot more when people ask you questions, because you are there, and then somebody's asking you, you will go back, you learn it, and then answer it back. So that that learning happens like a community rather than just alone. And I think the fun is with the community.
True, and I also get a lot of advice from people. I get in the comments of the few videos that I've posted about sports photography. I always get, because I always say, like, give me feedback, because I post some of the photos in the video, and I'm more than happy to get feedback from people. And I get a lot of feedback from sports photographers telling me, oh, your white balance, you should be careful about this, or change this positioning, or you should learn that skill, or things like that. And so it's really helpful. It's really, like you said, like, just being the community aspect of it means that I'm learning a lot from, not only from trying, but also from the feedback that I'm getting from the audience. So yeah, it's been a very
100%.
a very cool journey so far.
Yeah, very cool. And I would say, like, you know, things are can be uncomfortable when when you have started it. You might have have thoughts, like second thoughts, like you even don't know how it will go, and you need to just take a bet on it.
Mhm.
What are the things that you think were hardest about this transition from videography to stills? What instincts do you think have transferred well, like which can like directly correlate, where you say, okay,
Mhm.
I was doing it in videography, now I'm doing it in photography, they are exactly copied. And what has been a complete reset of your mind? Where is the mindset changing?
Well, I think because, yeah, I started as a videographer. I think for the settings part of things, like the more technical part of things, side of things, I was starting with, I knew what ISO, I knew what, like, exposure, all that stuff. I knew what that was, so it was easy for me to adapt. Like, you don't do it exactly the same. Like, you can go higher with the ISO, for example, in photography than in video, because you got things like noise reduction that can help you. um and also knew, like, the shutter speed has to go way higher with sports photography, because there's a lot of movement, and you don't want to see motion blur, things like that. So these things I kind of knew, and it was easy for me to adapt and get and be good at. Not necessarily great, but good, I'd say. But what was really different, and what I'm still kind of learning how to do, is my timing. Because with video, if, let's say, a player is kind of, running up with the ball, let's say at a basketball game, running up with the ball and doing a layup, or a shot, whatever, I can film him, just follow him along, and if he does something great, then I have it, and if he doesn't, then too bad. With photos, you can't necessarily, well, you could, but you will end up with like 100,000 photos, and you need, like, pretty fast CF cards if you want to start taking photos all the way up as the player is bringing up the ball and following him, and then hoping that something great happens. So you basically have to be much better at anticipating the moment, and because you can't react to it either. If someone's doing something great and then you start taking photos, you're late, you missed the action. Like, best case scenario, you can get a great, like, facial reaction, but you won't get the actual action. So you have to sort of anticipate, like, a second or half a second before something cool's about to
All
happen.
right.
So you have to know the sport, which I already do, but it's kind of knowing when to shoot, when not to shoot. That's the key there. That is really new, and it's a different approach totally to video. So I'm adapting to that, making a lot of mistakes, taking a lot of photos that don't make any sense, and sometimes being late on great opportunities. So working on that and trying to, yeah, be better, and learn that photographer mindset where you know that you should be in that position and start taking photos when this happens or that happens. And it doesn't work every time, obviously. Sometimes, you're always sort of, the action dictates if it's going to be a great photo or not. But knowing when to take the photos is definitely the biggest challenge so far.
They say you have to be in your customer's shoes. And I think that is what you're also trying to refer. You need to know the game. Like it
Yeah,
is not only the photography skill, it is also the end-to-end knowledge of that particular game that you are going to shoot, because you need to know what will be the moment I'm gonna pick it, I'm gonna click. And you have to know that before that moment happens. Because you need to
yeah,
press shutter and you need to know when to press it. It's not that easy for sure. I can think about that. It's not like a portrait photo where you're asking a subject to pose and then it's giving you time to take a click. It's not like that. It's majorly like
exactly.
something is happening live and you have to capture that moment live. Okay, it can be crazy. I can think through it. It can be crazy. Definitely, it needs practice, a lot of practice. For people who are tuning in right now, we are talking about a story where Edris have transitioned himself from videographer to a photographer journey. He's on a journey. He's sharing that publicly. And today he is with us. So if you have any questions about videography or photography in general, or into sports specifically, make sure you share that questions with us today so that he can answer them here. If you are tuning in live, just let us know from where you are tuning in. And if you see a recording, make sure you comment there as well. Before we move further, Edris, I would like to ask one specific question. You know, we have seen in sports photography, we are taking a lot of burst shots. Like we don't want to miss the moment. So we try to capture,
Mm.
we need to click the shutter like so many times because we don't want to miss anything. How many photos have you clicked like during a session? What exactly is that number that you are clicking?
Yeah, well, that's something I've been I've been wondering myself as well. When I started, I was like, "What's the right amount of pictures?" Because there's a lot. Um, through a professional sporting event that goes, that can go to like 2.5 hours, and there's stuff pre-game and even during the breaks. You're shooting sometimes fans or some sponsors. That's that sort of stuff, or what's happening on the court if there's like a halftime show or activation of some sort. So you can easily end up with like 4 or 5 thousand photos. So that's a lot to go through, which is why the culling is such an important part of it, because that's the first thing I learned after my first experience. And I looked at the amount of photos, like the project that I have today. It doesn't have that many, but yeah, typically it's definitely in the thousands. So it's like, yeah, you realize that there's all these photos. A lot of them look exactly the same because there's bursts of photos. So like there'll be like 15, 20 of them that look very similar. So how do you go through all these photos and try to find the best 10, 15, or 30? That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my main question when I started, and that's how I found you guys.
And I would say that one interesting thing that happened from last year, we were supposed to solve culling for weddings and portraits, and we were doing it quite well. But we realized last year that culling is not the same for everyone. When we talk to our customers,
Mm,
we realize sports is totally a different ball game altogether. They don't cull like a wedding or a portrait photographer. They have plenty of time. They have plenty of time to deliver. They have plenty of time
mm.
to think through how to place the subject. So they are not going to have the same problems in culling that sports photographer is going to have. And that's why we
That's
need to
true.
come out with different ways or different AI capabilities for sports and weddings or portraiture. So we created this kind of deep cull, which you might have used, which is,
Yes.
you know, taking care of different genres with different criteria. So for a sports photographer, we know, what is important, like the ball visibility and, how much is the distance between the ball and the subject. And we make sure that the AI understands that part of the, game rather than expression of the subject or how they are holding their hands together because they don't hold hands in sports, they hold hands in wedding.
Mm.
So because the context changed, right? We we just need to come out with different and innovative ways. So would love if you can take our audience today through a deep cull project that you have created or used, and maybe a photographer today from here can learn what is it helping out with and what actually happens in a workflow.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
so let me know once you have your screen with you, and I will take that on the screen.
yeah. Well, I think my screen's ready. I can
Okay,
show you guys.
sure.
I basically did like I have a. It was a basketball game at a. It's kind of a high school level basketball tournament. I didn't, like I said, there's not 5,000 photos in this one because I was also filming a little bit, and the games are faster as well. So there's only 1,400, but still, full 1,400 is still a lot of photos to go through. So yeah, having something like this, I didn't even know before I started photography. I didn't even know what culling was. I never heard that term before, so I really learned you know, with this with this app, and I find it interesting because yeah, that now like the deep call has already been done, but basically the fact that I assume once I learned what it was, I assumed that it would just be like little technical things like blurry photos or eyes closed, things like that. But the fact that it can also go into you tell it specifically it's a basketball game and it's going to pick photos that are specific to basketball. That to me is amazing. Like like when you obviously when you put the amount, because you can choose how many like photos you want to select as like your best ones. I've put in this case I've put like 100. I'm not going to end up with 100 photos, but I've put enough that I feel comfortable going through that 100 and finding the ones that I feel are best, because I already know there's
Okay.
not 100 great photos in there. Like there's not I'm not taking 100 great photos, that's for sure. So if I can end up with like a 12, 15 kind of range, I'll be happy. So I put 100 so that way I make sure I didn't want to like eliminate too many photos. So that's to me, that's kind of so far has been sort of my way to go about it. Like I'll put 100 and then I'll go through that 100, and maybe if I have time, I'll quickly browse through the review folder just to make sure. But otherwise, I can go from there and and basically open it and just go into like all these photos that are like if we open it, what I really like as well is the grouping thing, because
Ah,
like I said earlier, I shoot in bursts. So I often get 10, 15, 20 photos that look very similar. Like if we go through all these, this is all the
yeah,
same sort
very
of burst.
similar.
So doing this in the browser and going one by one and trying to figure out, like it's a lot easier here to just sort of go through the different pictures and then go, oh, once I okay, let's say maybe not that one because it looks a bit boring, but like let's say for example, like let's just take this one. All right, so I got this guy, I like it. So in that there's a grouping, so I can then go through these and select the one
Uh,
that I like the best. So I really like that. Just that sort of the way it's organized, that really helps me. It's a much faster sort of process. And then having the analysis as well, the AI analysis is helpful too, because it kind of tells you what's good and what's not about it. So I like it, and sometimes you can disagree as well. Like emotion expression, for example, that it's very true. There's not much emotion in this photo, but I like the fact that some like I could potentially crop in and just take like a super close up of the face,
Tight
and then
crop.
it
Yeah.
would become a bit more emotional. So, but it's fun to have like the reasons and the more of a like the analysis that tells you exactly what's good and what's not about this one,
Well,
like about the photo.
there's a story behind why we have introduced this reasoning capability of the AI. We might
Okay.
have hided it behind the bars because it seems technical to few people about why you were telling me what criteria you are suggesting. Like, I don't want to know this, just get my job done, man. But, like, the reason is a lot of people turned out to us saying we don't understand how it picks photos, how it rejects photos, whether it does it
Mm,
like I do it, or they feel it's like a black box because they have seen the experience of a culling tool so far in the market like a black box, which does
mhm.
not tell you why it's selected or rejected. It just tells you it's selected or rejected. And we thought like it would be a nice idea to open the box to let people know and feel it, like why it has done that kind of a selection or rejection. Maybe that would give them some insights on how to shoot better, or give them some insights on what AI is picking, what AI is learning, and maybe they will trust the system more. And if they trust the system more, then they can rely on it for their shoots. So that was the only reasoning to put some stuff which only the software developers were seeing before towards the customer, and now
Yeah.
customers have the full transparency of what exactly is happening on the photo.
Well, it's a great idea. I totally agree with the sentiment behind it, because yeah, it's true that like if AI is telling you this is good, this is bad, um, you don't really know why, and you can question is it right or is it wrong? Like who knows? So to have the explanation and telling you exactly why they think it's good, then it's up to me to decide if I agree, because now I know the reasons, I know the explanation, and if it does make sense, and it's like, oh yeah, it's true. There is like good action, good storytelling, good everything. It is a good picture. Let me put it in my in my keepers list, and move on to the next one. So yeah, it does make it it's reassuring, and it makes it easier and ultimately faster, which is the whole point of
Yeah,
doing this.
I was talking to Ja Prince, who was the guest in the last Cull room, and he was sharing about the help that the culling is doing in his workflow, which is kind of like fast delivery. Sometimes he has to turn galleries into the same day or the next day, and
Mm,
the clients love it. Like the clients love it if you give them good experience or faster deliveries these days, because it's the word of social media and everyone wants to put it out as soon as they can. And for media companies, for people who are in sports, they have to give it to newspapers or some agencies. They have to turn some photos live of the game to share it with the organizers. So without AI, they might be having a team of 3 to 4 people whom they have to carry with them if they have to achieve the same. And I'm saying that, with AI, their team is becoming more productive. So instead of spending like hours and hours manually doing that live, they can take a help of a tool which does not 100%. I'm not saying it's 100% job done, but even if it can save you 80% of your
mm.
time and you can deliver it on the same day, what kind of
Well,
experience that
yeah,
would be?
that's exactly how I approach it. Like I'm not looking for the AI to do the job for me, because ultimately it's my content, it's my name, it's my reputation. So I want to be in control and make sure that the decisions ultimately are mine, and it's the photos that are ending up being the one chosen are the ones that I'm comfortable with. But if AI can help me kind of go through that process faster and point me in the direction that makes that process faster, but also like just eliminates things that I would for sure eliminate. Like that's more what I like about it, like just eliminating like the obvious and just giving me more the ones that are more complex and that I can go through and select myself. I really like that because yeah, it's just trimming the fat basically and just getting to the real stuff. And once I'm in there, like I said, really convenient way of going through photos. You can even like zoom in and do all these things. So being able to quickly go through all the photos and select the best ones, that's a few hours saved right there, and it's very
100%.
helpful when you come back with thousands of photos.
A tip for the audience, who are looking at this live, even if you are scared about AI, even if you are scared about using it in your workflow today, you need to look into the products that are coming up. Give it a try. Maybe they will not
Mm,
save you the entire time you were expecting, but they will cut down a lot of time that you might have to spend today in better things like growing your business, taking a vacation, or maybe rethinking about a lot of things in your business, like the client experience, upgrading your contracts, increasing your pricing. Everybody loves that,
mm,
right? And as a business owner, because you are so busy in doing all the things, you need systems in place. And this is only one system in place. It's not something that is replacing someone. It's a system
mm.
in place. If you have a system in place, it will save you time, energy, give you bandwidth, like how you make yourself productive throughout the years.
Yeah, oh, I agree. And also, like for me, if I like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and when I first started in videography, um, yeah, the tools weren't obviously what they are today. So we didn't have time to do everything that we're doing today. Like a cameraman was just a cameraman, a video editor was just a video editor, a sound person was a sound person. And now you kind of have to do all these together because, first of all, there's a lot more demand, but also the tools are allowing you to do so. It's much easier to use a camera now than it was 20 years ago. It's much easier to do video editing than it was 20 years ago. And now you have the time and the resources to do both. And so everything evolves kind of in a direction where there's more and more demand, there's more and more work to do, but you can do more yourself with the proper tools. So I feel like from the photography side of things, this is like the equivalent. This is where you can produce video photos on the day, turning around photos pretty quickly, edited and ready to go. Um, because of tools like this, but it doesn't take away the fact that you're the one taking them, choosing them, editing them. You're just doing it in a way that is much more efficient, basically.
100%, 100%. I definitely agree. So we are going to give you a challenge address, right? Nobody wants
Yeah.
to show the photos that the AI rejected because nobody wants to show. So I want to challenge you and see what the AI has rejected in this gallery.
Yeah.
Maybe it will not be 100% correct, but I still want to see. I'm very curious to
Yeah,
look
we can do that.
into, and I think it would be better for our audience as well to look into what the AI, is it just a blurry, or is it like something which
Well, straight
AI
away,
is
this
having
one,
a good reasoning about? Wow,
this one,
that
I can see why.
yeah, even you don't need to open the
Definitely.
reasoning for that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of those.
There's a couple
This
of
one is,
shots like the motion
see,
blur, the cut crops.
so
Okay, okay.
yeah, like for example, this one, if it wasn't out of focus, could be a good picture. If I was
Yes.
cropping in and just taking these two guys, it would be a great photo. But it's completely out of focus, so completely
Mm.
unusable. And I'm assuming the others, yeah, in the group are the same.
Okay, so it's like a burst
Um,
shot which is out of focus that the AI
yeah,
has picked.
exactly. And then this one, I guess it's in focus, but it's kind of boring. It's a referee from the back, so nothing very exciting to see here. And well, this one could be all right. As you see,
Okay,
like the
so
rating's not
here
that
here
bad
we are.
actually.
We like this photo. I'm just checking, like the AI might have given it a 1 star. if we just make it 5 stars, we can actually take it back, like just in case,
Yeah,
we want
yeah,
some
that's true.
extra photos. Okay, you just make it 5 stars here.
Yeah, you could. See, there you go.
Yeah, so that goes to our best
Back in
collection
business.
now. We're back to business.
And then if we
So
go
I just
here, it
want to
should
show
be
how easy it was for our users who are seeing this, how easy it was to take it back, just in case you liked something and it got rejected. Just a click to take it back to business. Well,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
a great showcase of the product. Edris, are there something specific that you want to talk about before we take this screen share off?
Like with the culling side of things, not really. I just like I said, I just like the fact that it helps me pick like different like I usually go with the color system. So I put like green, yellow, and red. So it's easier for me. It's like three options. So you got the, the best is green, the review is yellow, and then the reject is red. And then I'll use the stars to pick my ones that I want to export later on, and or I can just put the other ones in the rejected pile. But whatever I choose to do, but like I like the idea of like doing all the organization on the culling side of things, and then I can move on from there and do my thing. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with that side of things, and just excited about. I haven't really touched or learned much of like the editing side of thing is kind of my next step in terms of like learning and get better at. Like I'm kind of okay with Photoshop because I produce like thumbnails for my YouTube videos, but that's about it. So I'm learning. This is a new skill that I'll need to learn. So I'm sure that eventually FilterPixel will be able to help
Yeah.
me with that as well. But at the moment, I'm more into the culling side of things, and yeah, so far so good.
Well, just a secret, you know,
Oh,
something new is coming to editing, and we are excited about that. We have been working on it for a while. The people who are tuning in, just wait and watch.
no. Well, there you
Okay,
go.
so I'm gonna take this screen share off, and we have a couple of questions with that we wanna cover. Um, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to share it right away, or we can answer them after the session is over. We have okay, let's see. Oh, we talked about deep cull and the culling part with your we have seen the culling part with your fresh eyes. Um, when you think about sports photography in general, like when I'm talking about uh, even like the videography, do you think that most of the bookings that we get as photographer or videographer um, are coming through referrals, or are there anything else that is really helping out to get our clients? I'm talking about this because we have a lot of people who
Mm.
keep asking questions how to get more business, and they would love to learn from someone who have built this, that what are the takeaways, if they can take anything from the business point of view when it comes to photography.
Well, yeah, I do think referrals is probably a big part of it. And by referrals, I mean, when people work with you and they enjoy, like, it's not just being good, it's also being fun to be around, being professional, being someone that's like easy to work with, basically. So, and that might be a bit counterproductive for what we're talking about today, but I actually feel like that energy, like being the person that people like to work with, is probably going to get you more work than your actual photography skills. Because if you're excellent at what you do, but people can't stand you, they won't, they won't want to spend an entire working day with you just because they like your photos. Like if they just can't stand you, they can't stand you, and they're not going to call you back. So Then
Oh,
that goes from your attitude, your professionalism, like all these different things. But so yeah, so that's referral comes from there. Being a good person, being good at your job, being fun to be around, and being professional, being on time, all these things. But then the other aspect as well is kind of promoting yourself, like being able to go on Instagram and share your content. So I always tell like up and coming videographers to make sure to have like an Instagram account that's dedicated or mostly made of your content. So same goes for photographers. Like just when you're shooting at a sporting event, for example, after that you post your photos, do like a carousel or whatever you want to, whatever format you want to use. If you're doing video, then it's reels and stories and things like that. But make sure you tag the players that are in those shots. Make sure you tag the teams, everybody's that's involved. You tag them in all your content, so that way, first of all, when people look at your Instagram profile, they can see all your best work. They can see everything that you do and that you're proud of. That becomes your portfolio, and they can see right away if they like if they like your content, your style, everything. And also by tagging a lot of people, you'll get a lot of demands as well. You get DMs from the players in the photos, for example. Ah, that's a nice picture. Can I have it? Things like that. I usually, when it comes to like players, especially at the lower levels, like I'll be more than happy to give them the photo so that they can use it and promote it and make me known in the process. And eventually, like on the video side, like for me, because that's where I've done more like professional work. Um, if you're posting like videos of people and they get excited and they ask for clips and things like that, then eventually that translates into like how much would you charge? Like I'd like to do a recruiting video, for example. If it's like a younger, like high school level, they want to put together a recruiting video to get to go to get a scholarship at university and eventually maybe to go like pro in Europe or something. So they have to do a bit of a video that they can send to potential recruiters. So they'll hire you for that, or they just want to have clips to promote themselves. And so by tagging people in your content, you'll get a lot of eyeballs on the content that are people that are actually in the video or in the photo. So they're definitely interested and they'll share it. Like I've posted a lot of NBA players and famous athletes in my Instagram posts, and none have had as many views, not nearly, not even close to what my nephew that was at that game that I just showed in the in the screen recording. Like my nephew's, like when he's playing basketball and I post something on my Instagram, I get way more views than any other celebrity basketball player because he's young. He goes to high school. All his friends, they're all sharing this content, and it
wow,
just goes viral
that's so
automatically.
cool. That's so
So
cool.
that's, yeah, and that's the power of yeah, just like using Instagram to get eyeballs on your content and stuff. So if you're an up and coming photographer or videographer, make sure that you're posting content, that you're tagging people in it, because that's the best way to create a network of people that will eventually work with you.
Basically, posting the right content and tagging the right people and delivering them the right experience. That's the key to
Exactly.
getting more and more referrals. This
Exactly.
also touches the point that we were discussing in the last CullRoom session with Jah. He talked about that there are people at different levels of this chain where you are giving the experience. Some people you think are at the lower level, and some people who are cutting the check for you at the higher level. So you don't need to think about them at different levels. You need to treat everybody same and good, so that because you don't know, the person you are thinking who is at the lower level is actually sitting in a board meeting with the one who is at the higher level, why he has made you a call and asked you something or asked you a
Mm.
deliverable. So the experience matters for sure, as you said. Tagging people matters for sure, as you said. It doesn't depend if they are lower or higher, where they are in the chain. um, it just needs to be the right people that you are working, having that vibe, having that great experience with them. No, there are awesome tips, Edris, and I would think like a lot of people are going to get a lot from this and improve a lot on their client experience. I have one more question. Actually, I have two, but I would ask this one first, which is about the YouTube channel for someone who is watching this and wants to break into sports media, whether that's the video or the photo. What's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you at the start when you were starting your YouTube channel?
It's a good question. I think for me, I kind of started later in life, and it was, I had my full-time job. I was kind of doing this on the side, and it eventually became something that I started doing more full-time. But I, so the where I'm going is not necessarily something that applies to me, but something that I see more in up and coming, like the younger kids that are trying to get into, being an influencer or being on YouTube, things like that. Um, they see this as a path to making money, and it can be, but it you if you're doing it for that reason, you're not going to be there long enough to get to that point, because you're not,
Mm,
like, you need to enjoy the videos that you're making. You can't just be making videos for the sole purpose of making money, because there's going to be a lot of videos um, that need to be made before that point comes, if it ever comes. So you need to enjoy the process, basically. So for me, I loved making videos about sports, and then when I got more into the educational side of things, I really liked the impact that it was having on people, the conversation that it started with people. I started a few years back a Facebook group when I started taking like my sports videography YouTube channel seriously. I started a Facebook group that is dedicated to a sports videography community. That's actually the name of it, like sports videography community. And yeah, just the conversations that are going down in that group to me is I find it crazy that this idea that I had a few years ago, and like, oh yeah, I should probably, do a few more videos, and oh yeah, I should start a Facebook group and see what happens. And then there's people from all over the world. There's like 16 or 17,000 people in that group now
wow.
that are talking to each other and helping each other and giving advice to each other, and meeting each other and becoming friends as well. Like there's three, I always talk about these guys when I talk about the group, is like they're like volleyball dads. All their daughters play volleyball, and they started, might as well pick up a camera, take photos and video, and then they start, the kids get into it, so they get more into it. They buy a better camera and they learn how to edit, and then they find my channel, and then they find the Facebook group, and then they post a volleyball video, and then another guy's like, oh, my daughter plays volleyball too, and I'm doing the same thing. And then these 3 or 4 guys became like super close friends, and they live in all like different parts of the US, but they talk through like a WhatsApp group or whatever, and they built this whole community of like volleyball dads that would have never happened if I
Wow.
didn't wake up one morning just creating a Facebook group. So that whole world to me, I'm going very far away from your original question, but like it's just, yeah, that whole thing for me is very exciting, and I find it like that's my passion. So like I'm passionate about sports, but I'm also very passionate about the community and aspect of the whole thing around my YouTube channel. And if I can transform that into a business where I can also kind of make money, so it allows me to make more of it, then I'm happy. But if the sole purpose is money, like, you're not gonna last, because it's gonna be a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of time, and not a lot of reward at first in views, and definitely not in money. So, yeah, my advice is, if you're gonna do like a YouTube channel or something along those lines, it has to be a subject that you're passionate about, and that whether you're making money or not, you're having fun and you're enjoying what you do.
It's like more of enjoying the journey, and it should come from inside rather than just following someone or looking at someone and copying it just for the sake of doing it, or for the sake of the cool idea, because it seems like there's a lot of hard work, a lot of energy into it. And it's not just like a cool idea to just start a YouTube channel. It's more of like a dedication into it, a journey into it. And if you don't enjoy the journey, it's not for you.
Exactly. and there's also a lot of videos. So at some point, if you're not passionate about the topic, you're gonna run out of ideas of like making a new video or a different video. So it has to be something that you're passionate about. So there's always, new topics that you want to discuss or revisit an older one or whatever. But you can't grow tired of that subject. Like you can branch out in different form of it, like kind of what I'm doing with photography. Like I'm still in the same world, but I'm just like, changing the form, changing the perspective, things like that. And that's you have to, because if you're doing the same thing over and over, you're gonna go a bit crazy. But yeah, you definitely got to enjoy the process.
Well, I'm enjoying this conversation, and I think I can pull it off for hours and hours, but we have to end somewhere. And I know, so this is going to be my last question before we wrap up. I want to know, like, 5 years from now, if we imagine a world where there's a sports videography going on, there's a sports photography going on. How do you see the line between the two? Is it like the line disappearing? Where does that leave the creators today who want to work with the athletes they are, thinking to work with in the videography and photography space? Are the two merging? Are the two going away
Mm.
from each other? Where do you see them going?
It's a very interesting question. I think there's going to be more merging than separating. Like I see it definitely at the lower levels, not necessarily at the professional level, because I think professional you have to be focused on one thing, because it's hard to do both. Like if you're taking photos, then you're going to end up with you're going to miss video opportunities, and if you're on video, you're missing photo opportunities. So one of the two, and most likely both, are going to suffer if you're trying to both simultaneously in the context of a sporting event, at least, because you're not in control of what's happening in front of you. So you can't redo, you can't ask people to wait or to change. So yeah, you have to choose. So it's definitely at the professional level, it's going to be hard to merge the two unless the tools go to a point where you can film, and then out of that film get a photo that looks exactly like it would look if it was taken, like, as an actual photo. Because you can do screen grabs now, but it's not, it doesn't have the same sharpness, the same qualities as a real photo. But I see it a lot at the lower levels, like high school and things like that, because people don't have as much money. Like you're usually hired by parents or things, or like, small schools with small budgets. They ask videographers to kind of do both, or photographers, oh, can you take some video too? So people are kind of stuck having to do both. Um, it still the work still suffers, but there's probably, I think the demand is going to request that a lot more. But like I said, unless the equipment really evolves into this, buy a photo video machine, um, it's going to be more like, if the demand's so big, then you'll be able to have two people doing things. Because I think the request is going to be there for both, but it's very hard for one person to produce both in a great way. The demand's already there. I think at the lower level, when people do it does the job, because ultimately
Yeah.
it's mostly for, like, a story here and there on Instagram, or a post on TikTok, and kind of banking it in for an eventual recruiting video, and through that you can post some photos here or there. So it does the job, because there's not, the demand is there, but they don't require like ultimate best quality, and they don't require every single best scoring opportunity you had in the game. So it's okay at the lower level, you can kind of get away with it, but at the professional level, it would be very hard to merge the two. I think the demand is going that way, but the production is it's it'd be challenged for sure.
They have to be focused, have to be super, super focused when it comes to professionalism and shooting videography and photography. You can definitely do the both, but it depends whether you have the potential to pull it off because it
Mm.
needs their separate focus. Oh, perfect. I was trying to wrap this up, but we have one question from the chat. We would like to ask if there are any problems that sports photographers deal with, which you have heard from your community, and if FilterPixel is helping them in any way.
Well, I think it's yeah, picking picking the right photos is definitely the one that comes to mind because it's a lot of people are you know, it's hard to judge your own work and see what's good, what's not. So having AI, not necessarily saying, oh yeah, definitely use this one, but just having AI like confirming what you kind of already think, which is okay, those are bad. Like the same thing when we went through the rejected folder, it was obvious to us why they were bad. So like it's just confirming what you already know, sort of thing. And so from that perspective, like having some help from the app that tells you, you know, you're right in thinking that this is a good picture. You're right into thinking that this one is kind of, you know, could be, could not be, and that one's bad. Sort of giving you like a path towards a decision making that you're not always second guessing yourself. And because looking at 4,000 photos and starting from scratch and being alone to take all the decisions can be very overwhelming. So
100%.
having a bit of help is just it takes a lot of pressure off your shoulders, and it puts you in the right frame of mind to take the right decision and not second guess yourself, basically.
Yeah, 100%. You will do less mistakes when you have less work to do rather than getting overwhelmed or making your clients overwhelmed with a lot of photos. So thank you so much, Edris. I think this has been a great call room session with you. And we're going to have a lot of questions later as well. Then a lot of people will tune in after we share the recording in the community. But for people who are watching this live, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. We can definitely answer them now or later. But for now, I will just conclude the session. And thank you so much, Edris, for joining in and help our community with all of your amazing insights and joining this Cull room with us.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was my first time doing this type of thing live, so it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
100%. Okay, see you then again. And, we would love to invite you again on another live. But for now, thank you so much. And I'll chat you later.
Sounds good.
Bye.
See ya.
So this was Edris Toussaint, and you have seen how effective this session was in terms of giving you the glimpse of sports videography and photography both in one single session. At the same time, we had a lot of insights on Deep Cull, and you have seen Deep Cull in action for sports for the first time. So if you have not tried FilterPixel so far, and if you have not tried Deep Cull so far, this is your time to go to filterpixel.com, check the download page, download the trial. It does not require any credit card. You can try it for free. Try one free project of DeepCull that you're going to get after this session and use it for your sessions, for your sports events, or any genre that you shoot, and help us out with any feedback that you have. So for now, I would say a goodbye, but we have an amazing session coming up soon for wedding photographers, which will be our Call Room episode 3. So stay tuned. And for now, goodbye.